By now, you've seen people using Claude Code to build some insane creations, and you want to get in on a piece of the action. But all you've really used Claude for at this point is just rewriting a few emails. And you know what's possible, you've seen what's possible, but you don't really know where to start. Maybe you're a bit intimidated. Maybe you think, I've never written a line of code, so I'm not really capable of building those things that I see other people creating. And I'm here to tell you today that that's completely incorrect. By the end of this video, you'll be able to build more or less whatever you can think of with Claude Code using this simple 3-part framework. If you're new here, I'm Ethan. I'm an entrepreneur and AI consultant, meaning businesses pay me to teach them how to make money with AI, not just play with it. This is the framework that I use every day whenever I'm starting a new build. So this isn't just theory. This is how I use Claude to make money. Before we get into the actual components of the framework, we need to talk about the mindset shift that needs to happen to use the framework. And that is thinking like an AI architect. You might be wondering, what does that even mean? And I'll explain it with a metaphor. One of the businesses that I'm in is real estate. And if you've ever been involved with the construction or modification of a new building, you know that before any of the ground actually gets broken and the building begins, they have to have all the schematics and plans approved by an architect and approved by the city. And when we're building solutions with Claude Code, we need to think in that same way. Otherwise, what's going to happen is you quick pour your foundation, then you bring in the framers and start telling them what you want, and they'll tell you, we can't accommodate that because of the way that the foundation is poured. And the only go forward plan there is to either rip out all of the pre-existing foundation and re-pour it, or proceed and not be able to accommodate a feature or a function that you want. And Claude Code is no different. What I see people do is they have this vision and they try to dive right in and start pouring foundation and get further along, have spent a lot of their usage limits and tokens, but then realize that although they've completed features A, B, and C, the way that features A, B, and C were constructed prevent feature D from being able to be built unless you rebuild features A, B, and C. So this leads to frustration, wasted tokens, wasted time. This method prevents all of that. Okay, so let's dive in. The first component is the brain dump. This is where you tell Claude everything that is relevant, all of the associated information with the project of what you're exactly trying to do. You need to imagine yourself in a room with 10 or 15 of some of the best software developers in your country, and you have them at your disposal. Whatever you want to build, they can do it. You just have to communicate to them effectively what you want. If you communicate your ideas poorly, it's going to be a lot further from the desired outcome. So this brain dump is everything. Let's talk about some examples of what a project might be. Maybe you want to do some sort of automated email pipeline, right? Where you're scraping leads and then cold emailing to prospects, having some sort of follow-up scheduling system. What you don't want to do is just open up Claude Code right away and then say, build me a lead scraper, because that's the same thing as just pouring the foundation right away without planning the rest of the house. And the way to get around that is you open up a session and start a brain dump where you tell Claude every relevant piece of information in the project, every consideration you have, every potential limitation, suggested technologies you want to use, anything and everything. And not just for the initial phases, considerations for the entire project, the longevity, where you want it to go, what you anticipate the life cycle of it to be. And the more accurate you are and the more detailed you are in the brain dump, the better outcome you're going to get. The same way that if you worked with a home builder and you spent a year and a half meeting and talking with them about all the features and design aspects that you want in the home, you're going to be way more satisfied than if you just sat down with them and talked for 30 minutes, right? So that's the first component, the brain dump. Next, the specific language that we want to use paired with the brain dump. because this is all just going to be in one initial prompt. Okay, we're going to try and one-shot this as much as we can. The specific language that you want to include is 3 different things. You have the brain dump portion, and then you pair it with this specific language. MD files, self-testing, and then an initialization prompt. So let's go through those piece by piece. First, let's get into MD files. What we tell Claude that we want him to create is a collection of MD files and a folder structure for us to be able to drop into a Claude Code session and just get building right away. Now, what do I mean by that? Claude is going to create a number of markdown files, each with unique instructions, and each one is going to represent a different phase in the build, because chances are the project that you have in mind is pretty detailed and kind of a large scope. So the benefit of Claude creating all of these MD files at once is that they account for each other. They're not created in a silo. So the considerations between them are already layered in and completed. And this will prevent us from having to do so many iterations. Because if you design these like subcomponents of the project in a silo individually, they're not going to fit together with the whole full vision of the project in mind. And it's going to just waste a bunch of time and tokens. So that is the first piece of specific language we include. We tell Claude that we want Claude to output a collection of MD files and specific folder structure that will allow us to complete this entire build. The second specific language we want to include is that of the self-testing. We want Claude to build in all of the tests for the solution so that it actually works and we're not having to be the ones to test it and iterate and iterate and iterate, wasting time and tokens. And that'll create a better product. And the third is the initialization prompt. This is something that I add on to the end of the prompt. Give me a prompt where I can begin a Claude Code session in this folder that you have created, folder full of MD files, and drop this prompt in, and the build will initialize like that. And what this does is, because you gave all of the necessary info in the brain dump and you asked Claude to create this folder structure in this way, it essentially allows you to just let Claude do the entire project for you. And of course, you're going to have to interact and give your feedback, do some testing. It's not going to be perfect, but using this framework, you will save so much time, so much pain. Trust me, I've been through it. And this is the only way I work now. And the last step, it's simple, iterate. Like I said, you're going to have to give your feedback to Claude. It's not going to be perfect, but it is going to be so much better and so much more efficient than designing each of the components of the project in a silo like you were trying to do before. So now go and try a project, right? I want to see you guys building. So now go and try a project. I want to see the things that you guys create. Drop a comment if you use this framework to build something sweet. I would love to hear about it. If you found this useful, hammer the subscribe button, drop a like. I got more details in the description below with my website where you can book a one-on-one session with me, all about Claude Code or anything AI. One other thing, I'm building a community for people who are serious about making money with Claude and AI. More details on that to come. When that's live, the link will be in the description as well. Have a great day.